So I value actually a lot in this discussion, in these interactions. It's a very diverse group. It's a very interesting group from both sides, so naturally very interesting discussions. But actually the most important thing for me is I'm heading an applied research center, the largest research center for cybersecurity in Europe. And for applied research, the most important thing is to actually talk to the people from the applications. Yeah? So I need input from industry. I need input from the real users of information technology. And for me, this is the most important thing in these discussions. These discussions, these interactions, they already led to a number of joint activities with Software AG, for instance, in the area of secure software engineering, which is natural. I mean, Software AG is one of the biggest software vendors, software manufacturers in Germany, in Europe, but also in the area of security for IoT and other application domains of Software AG. So for me, this is quite interesting, quite valuable, and really key to my success as an applied security researcher. Cyber incidents are really considered one of the biggest risks for businesses worldwide, not only in Germany, worldwide. One can see this, for instance, from surveys like the one by Bitkom, the German Organization for Information Technology, Industry Organization for Information Technology. They publish a survey every year or every other year on what they think the damages are for industry from cyber incidents. It's pretty constant now, slightly above 200 billion. This is really an enormous sum. I mean, this says it all. Why is this? And there are actually many reasons for this. I mean, one is naturally the increased attack surface that we have in information technology, simply due to the success of digitization. Pretty much everything that we use, every industry domain, every sector is digitized, so to speak, has now IT behind it. The whole development received a strong push during the COVID-19 pandemic. I mean, most of us worked from home probably alone. This factor increased the attack surface significantly. The other aspect is, of course, the global political and economic situation. After the beginning, actually before the beginning of the Ukraine war, we saw a lot of activities from state-sponsored attackers. This increased over time. It's not only Russia, it's also other actors like from China, from Iran, from other countries. So there's a huge activity there. And then last but not least, the economic situation is worsening for many people worldwide. And as sad as it is, but the worse the economic situation, the more people are inclined to commit crimes, also cyber crimes. So this is the motivation side. The other side is, of course, what happens. And whoever reads newspapers, of course, can see there are attacks pretty much every day. We have a lot of high-profile cases in Europe, worldwide. And the reason for this is always the same. Yeah, I mean, there is security technology. It's not sufficient. It's wrongly used. Very clearly, we need to do more. We need to be much more ambitious. And this is, of course, one of the big topics also for research. It's a good question. And actually, it's true. So it's well known that turning cybersecurity research results into industry solutions can easily take 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. Yeah, for instance, public key cryptography was invented late 70s, and it was not used before around 90s or so. It took 20 years. But actually, the biggest problem, I think, is not even that it takes a long time to get research into practice, but the biggest problem is that when people invent technologies, they typically do it in a very idealized way. Yeah, they think about an environment, they think about what might attackers do, and so on, and then it's turned into real life, into practice, and suddenly everything is different. Yeah, the environment is different. Attackers actually they do something completely different. They might use it as a platform to commit crimes against others, and so on. And there are many examples where this happened. Yeah, for instance, best known example is the internet. It was developed pretty much without security in mind because people thought it's a closed system. Who would attack this? It became commercialized in the 90s, and then suddenly there were a lot of cyber attacks on the internet. But even the core protocols, like for naming, DNS, for routing, BGP, it turned out that since they lacked security, they needed additions. Then people added security features like DNSSEC for DNS, RPKI for BGP, and similar things. And again, it turned out that these were very idealized designs turned into real life. It suddenly happened that people misused it. There were configuration mistakes. It's way too complex and so on. And so at the end, it's always this problem. Technology is there. It's used. It's idealized. But it's not working as people expected. There are surprises. Then the question is, how can we deal with these surprises? Yeah? So I think there must be much more security by design, where people really think systematically what might happen. In software, this is actually happening now with security by design, secure software development practices. We need the same in other areas. For instance, in the automobile industry, we saw it. They started exactly in this way. They had a very idealized vision of how things work, but now they had to learn things are different. They retrofitted again, security and so on and so on. And now I think they're actually in a good shape. The same must happen in all other areas. Yeah, in general, this must happen. And then I think the key point is we need to understand that the current security practices, they are not sufficient. Yeah, the attackers, they develop new technologies. The whole information technology is developing. For instance, people use cloud computing, something they didn't use 20 years ago. And the security technology, they must also keep up with these developments. Yeah, and the only way to do this is, first of all, make designs better. That's what I just said. Make deployments better. So work on configuration, work on support for security management, and so on. And lastly, come up with new security technologies. And there, at the moment, I mean, the big topic is zero trust architectures, where we have to be much more aggressive, much faster across Germany, across Europe, to get these things in practice, to really protect organizations better from the new types of threats that we see. For the simple reason that whenever there's a new technology development, it also causes new security problems. Yeah? I mean, there are examples like quantum computing. For a long time, the main application of quantum computers was breaking public key cryptography. So this spawned a whole new branch of public key cryptography called post-quantum cryptography, which is now pretty close to being practical and actually used in practice. There are standards out there. There are strategies on how to get post-quantum cryptography in practice. Another example is artificial intelligence, machine learning. I mean, this has a huge potential for interesting new applications. We see it left and right. And everybody's talking about stuff like ChatGPT. But from a security perspective, we also have to think about what might go wrong. Yeah? Attackers might have a motivation to influence the models behind machine learning that machine learning produces. They might want to create wrong classifications. They might want to use it for fraud. Maybe they want to automate fraud and so on. So we have a huge amount of new cheating methods, of new cybercrime methods. On the other hand, of course, we can also use machine learning, artificial intelligence for improved security. Yeah? This was actually used for a long time already for intrusion detection, but there are also areas like fake news, like deep fakes, which are created by artificial intelligence, but they can also be detected by artificial intelligence. So there's a lot that we need to do. This challenge is huge, but actually I'm pretty optimistic that overall the situation will not deteriorate, say. Yeah, in particular in Germany, we have a big, very successful, also internationally very successful research community. There's a lot of activity in this space in Germany. For instance, the center that I'm heading, Athene, I already mentioned, it is the biggest European center of this type, which means actually we receive a lot of support from the government for more research. The problem that we have in Germany is actually, so there are not so many IT companies. Software AG is one of the big examples that we have successful IT companies in Germany. But I think in order to have better security, to be more commercially successful, also with security, services and products, we simply need to have more companies. Startups, but actually also established bigger companies that have security solutions in their portfolio.